Hello and welcome everyone. I am Anu Rao, and on behalf of Indotronix, I'm delighted to welcome you all to this session of Talent Views. Our guest today is Gary Embley. Gary is a supply chain manager too at Crane Aerospace and Electronics. He's an Air Force veteran, an accomplished supply chain professional, and an adjunct professor at the prestigious Rutgers Business School, my alma mater, where he teaches supply chain security and risk management, global procurement, and strategic sourcing. He also currently serves as the president of the Institute of Supply Management, the New Jersey chapter, one of my favorite professional organizations. Gary earned his BA in project management and an MBA in operations and supply chain management. He also has a Six Sigma Green Belt for process improvement. Today, he'll be talking about transitioning from military to corporate and thriving in the civilian workforce. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you very much, Anu. That was a very nice introduction from the queen of marketing herself.
Thank you, Gary. So, Gary, as we are running the poll,
Sure.
would love to hear. Let's start off with a fun fact about you. I have known you for years, and I find you one of the most interesting people I know. But I'd love for others to know about you.
Well, one of my bad habits, I'm a diehard Yankee fan, and I think I told you I have 42 of the Yankee bobbleheads and counting. Made the Yankee bobblehead schedule up for season 2023 and looking forward to getting in that stadium again.
And that's one of the fun things I love following about you on Facebook. But thank you for sharing that. Now getting on to the serious questions. Uh, let's start off with can you give us a general idea about your current role at Crane? And we'll start off with what does Crane do and how big of a company it is, and what is your role at Crane?
Sure. I am the supply chain manager at an aerospace company in New Jersey, part of a nice large division with about 5,000 plus employees. And we build stuff that's all the communications between satellites up in the air and down here on the ground, and various other military apparatuses as well.
Yes, yes, Gary. So, who is your end customer for Crane?
We have plenty: Lockheed, Northrop Grumman, L3, BAE. Predominantly government contracts, some civilian, but very few. We're about 80-20 on the government contracts, and that's been the majority of my career as well.
Oh, that's so. Even your previous roles were in companies where you were kind of defense contractors. The company was a defense contractor.
Yes. A few times I stepped out. I got into medical devices for a little bit. That was kind of fun and interesting. And once commercial boats, air conditioning for commercial boats. But I found my fun was the new technology with, it's amazing what our engineers design and we get to see build and then get launched up into space. So it's fun, and I've kind of liked this and grew a knack for it and like to stay with it.
It does the very thought of it, even though we have come a long way since the 1960s when we first went off to the moon and stuff like that, it still feels so fascinating, the area that you're talking about. So at Crane in general, does it have a global presence, since it does seem to be servicing?
Yes, okay. we have, like I said, divisions all over the United States, and aftermarkets for airplanes. We do the cochlear ear implant, a lot of new technology, a lot of great devices throughout our company.
Wow, that is high tech. So this seems to be a field that is a great place for veterans. So do you have a focused program to hire veterans?
No, we do not. And it was funny, I was going to bring it up to speak with HR about that. I was wondering if they did, but no. This company currently does not, but definitely does, different things to support veterans. on the
Mm-hmm.
side. We're big on philanthropy and try and do different things. One of our
Mm-hmm.
other sites just did a great thing. I can't remember what they said. As a matter of fact, announced it in today's all hand meeting that they raised some money for a VA home that was near the local company.
Oh, so in the US itself, how big is Crane, and overall, how big is it?
Got me on that one. I want to say we're easy 5,000 plus employees
Uh-huh.
in our division, and there's a couple other divisions too. So unfortunately,
Hmm.
so I don't have the answer on that one.
Oh, so 5,000, and that's just the New Jersey office, you mean?
No, 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 no,
Oh,
no. That is total.
okay.
That's our A&E division. Our office
Okay.
is just about 120 people.
Okay. Okay. So before the so let's start at the very beginning, right? So before the military, uh, what were you doing, and what prompted you to take this route?
Um, Grew up in Jersey, so kind of didn't know what I wanted to do. Wasn't your best kid in school, so I turned around and found my better way to get out of New Jersey and do something smart for myself was join the military. So I went in and got away, and it was probably one of the smartest moves I made in my life. I think it
Uh-huh.
gave me discipline and you know taught myself some self-respect, and had a great travel. I traveled abroad all over. I had a nice 3 year stint in Germany, and I traveled almost the whole time. Every time I got a chance, I jumped on a plane or a bus or something or a train to go see other countries, and then came back to the states. So, and then
Hmm.
because of I was in a classified job. I could only get off for certain bases, and I figured, where they were was not conducive to my lifestyle. So I said, I think I'll go try civilian life.
Ah,
And,
so how long did you serve in the military?
8 years in the Air Force.
Okay, so that in 8 years you seem to have packed a lot of countries and a lot of miles, right?
Oh, did. Yes, I did. I called my European vacation when I went over there, but it definitely was a vacation because there was a desert storm and other
Uh-huh.
things happened in between it. But it was really awesome, to see. And that's when the countries, it was still Europe, and there was not the euro. It was, marks were marks in Germany and francs for
Mm-hmm.
in France. It was the different European money, so it was really
Mm-hmm.
awesome and nice to see and travel with. And thankfully the Air Force gave that to you because you had the ITT ticket and tours that you can go travel with.
Uh, 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 that is interesting. I mean, I know I wasn't planning to ask you that question, but what is the ITT?
International something in travel, and so it's like a travel agency on base that catered to solely to the military families,
Ah,
and they'd
okay.
set trips up for you. Like you leave on a Friday night late, go to a
Mm-hmm.
country some way, and then they
Mm-hmm.
bring you back early Sunday, well Monday morning, so you can roll off the bus and run to work. But you could
Oh,
go do
that
weekend trips all over the world. The country. It was really awesome.
yeah, that is very cool. So, during your stint, what do you think are some of the strengths that you built up, which truly helps you even today in corporate life?
Again, discipline. Was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of yes sir, yes ma'am in there. Something I wasn't used to coming from Jersey. Which was probably something I needed. um, Taught me respect.
Uh-huh.
Do
Uh-huh.
my due diligence. Always keep your eyes open. Know what's going on
Uh-huh.
around you because you're in foreign countries.
Uh-huh.
Um, and funny, I went into supply chain in the military, so it was
Mm-hmm.
kind of funny. That's what got my whole stint started with supply chain, and I just luckily had a couple great leaders that taught me great things in discipline and learning the systems, and
Mm-hmm.
I just stuck with it. It just came out, and that's when I got out of the military, that's how I went with it. I'll tell you a story was one time when we after Desert Storm they were closing down our base in Germany, and my boss had already left and went back to the States, and he was now part of Lockheed, who Lockheed ran our planes. We were like
Mm-hmm.
a test base for them on jammer planes, EC-130s. And when they came to close out our accounts, my boss came in with a general and said, well, we'd like to, close this account out. Here's the books. And I had everything in order. And we sat down at the table, and the the general said, very impressed. He's like, your paperwork is so clean, so tight, and it's all right. And he goes, you even crossed every T and dotted every I. And he goes,
Uh-huh.
where did you learn to be so, impeccable with your paper? And I pointed across the room and I said to my old supervisor, said, that man was the man who trained me to do this job. And he said, well, that's very nice that you give him the accolades that you did. I said, well, it's the truth though. So
Yeah. And there in itself, that story tells me how you can transition from the skills that you build up in the military, you
yeah,
transition into because your boss was in Lockheed at that point, right?
correct. Yes. I begged him to get
That
me to come work for him there, but he couldn't.
one of the things that you mentioned about respect, even when we were prepping for this fireside chat, we received an email from some one of our candidates, right? And it was so well written. They essentially were telling us that they had signed up for your fireside chat. They were looking forward to it, and they were so respectfully written and signed off, and telling us how they would like what the dress code is. And I was like, I haven't received such a well written, respectful letter in like years. And
Awesome.
it
Very
just
good.
feels good.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's a discipline, and to me, it's a good place for people not sure what they want to do. I should have went to college, but I didn't. Of course, the military did offer college. I started my college in the military and finally finished when I got out. The Air Force
Hmm.
paid for a nice chunk of that. I'm sorry, the classes, but they pushed you to grow, learn, be
Hmm.
smarter, and get an education because you need that today. So, and I'm
Hmm.
glad they pushed that on me. And I started, then I took a little while off, and then I just said I need to get this done. So I got back at it and finished it off.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned that they it instills in you the quality of pushing yourself, working hard, and of course, education is one way that you can do that and end up being better than where you started off, right?
Correct. Oh yeah.
So, I know when we were talking, you said there are some very typical challenges that people face during the transition period. I mean, you know it from firsthand experience. Would love to hear from you about that.
Oh sure. Because you're getting out and you've now adapted to a military way of life. You've been away from you see civilian life depending on where you're stationed. I was overseas, thankfully, and you're not sure. It's that fear of the unknown. What's going to happen? How is it? When I left, there was really no internet to get jobs. And who are you going to talk to? How are you going to search out? Luckily, today there's the va.gov. You can go there and get lots of help from them. Um,
Hmm.
but through networking and people, I started talking around, and the military has a good transition program now to go from a GI, say, to a civilian. Again, I can't stress enough, the va.gov has tons of answers for you, and things you don't know you can go to. But for myself, it was kind of unique that I got out and I went to a unemployment office. And at the unemployment office, they actually give you veterans preference to come in for jobs and help you out a bit more. They, because you have served your country, thankfully. I thought that was very nice of them. And I got a job. It was with a company called GT Government Systems, and was there for, loved the job. Was working for satellites on different buildings, and making sure that they were always up and running. And my job was to maintain all the parts what they needed to ever keep them going. And then we got laid off. But the interesting part was that I built a very good rapport in the 2 years I was there with one of my sales reps. And as I went on, I turned around and I constantly moved up in my career and moved to different companies via my sales reps and the reputation that I had with them. And working the government contracts, they know which suppliers, are hiring or have the contracts or winning them. So I never, this was the first time when I came back to Jersey. I've been gone, for probably 30 years. I came back 8 years ago, but it was the first time after my military career that I actually ever applied to a job. I didn't get it via word of mouth from networking from another salesperson to tell me where to go. So I
I
thought it was kind of
absolutely
unique.
love that.
It
I
was,
absolutely,
yeah,
because if there's one thing any
right.
all of us can take away from today's fireside chat, it's the importance of networking.
Yes, can't
You
say it
know,
enough.
I can't say enough, right? So, in your 30 odd years of work life, this is literally the first time that you applied for a job. And
Right.
because you had the experience, you got it without a problem.
Correct. And it was just kind of funny though. I've never applied to a job. It felt kind of odd going on the internet and searching for jobs. It's like, wow, okay, so this is how you do it. So,
You've been pampered, Gary. You've been pampered.
no, I've worked
No,
hard.
no, you
I've
were.
worked hard.
I
I've
know.
worked hard.
I
You know,
agree. You, that is one thing that every time I talk to you, I come away with how how focused you've been throughout your journey.
yeah, it's been to me, it's fun. It's something that I learned. Part of it is give back to, take care of one another. And the same thing ending up with the job at Rutgers. Did I ever think that turn around just to a chat via ISM meeting, becoming on the
Hmm.
board of ISM and then a chat because we did so many things with the students. When the teacher said, why don't you just start teaching here? And long story
Hmm.
short, now I've been going on my 5th year teaching one supply chain class a semester, and I love it. I think I missed my calling.
I have
So,
met your students, and I know how much they enjoyed learning from
right,
you.
it is
Uh,
fun. It's great dealing with them.
so you talked about your personal journey where you ended up being in supply chain. Uh, according, what are some of the other skill sets or talent that you have seen transitioning well and relatively easier than other fields
Um, you
into
know,
corporate
Well, it's funny, like you bring it up too, and one thing I forgot to mention, the military does offer a thing too, which is also called the GI Bill. So, when
life?
somebody goes in, I'm not sure how it works today. I know when I went in, it was your first year, $100 a month is deducted from your pay, and then they pretty much cover you up to about like $50,000 worth of an education. It's probably even higher now.
Hmm.
So, one thing to take advantage of, people going into the military was get that GI Bill because it, covers a lot of, educational costs. So it was nice.
Hmm.
But yeah, like the kind of talents, like it's funny, like I always think like at least, supply chain, you go in there, you can come out and of course, yay, supply chain's in high demand these days, or we're, getting beat up, whichever way you want to look at it. but but supply chain to me is fun. It's something that's always changing, evolving, something, great to go into.
Uh-huh.
The military, you could be a military policeman, come out and get a job, the food services, there's all sorts of admin jobs,
Hmm.
pilots can fly commercial. So I kind of like that the way that the military jobs are lined up, that when you can transfer them into a civilian world, and
Hmm.
it's nice. And, it's nice to be able to go in there, get some kind of education, depending on what your background is or whatever it may
Hmm.
be, that at least when you get out, you turn around and have a way that you can turn around and transition into a civilian. And again, you know, the VA.gov. There's lots of different organizations out there to help veterans coming into the civilian world, and it's nice to see the tools there now. They weren't back the day when I got out.
And another thing is, when we are having conversations like this, yes, there are tools out there for veterans to transition. And also, civilians learn a little bit about the culture and the mindset and how veterans are thinking. It's easier for a staffing company like ourselves, for example. We want to increase the veteran talent in our workforce. If we understand the culture, it is that much easier for us to do it, that much easier to talk to veterans, talk their language.
I agree
Yeah.
100%. And one thing, I'm going to go out and say it that, you get somebody who's disciplined too, who understands you have to work, you must work. That I just find that people that are veterans stick together, work harder
Hmm.
together. It just seems, they build a better camaraderie because you got that part of being that military vet away from home where you depend on each
Hmm.
other. So you understand that. So when you get to corporate America, you tend to work closer with your people, and you want
Mm.
that teamwork again. You're taught teamwork, and it's something that's instilled in you, to me, from the military. And I laugh because there's about 8 or 9 different veterans here from all the different services, and We kind of walk around every now and then, sergeant, captain. We joke around and call each other by our
Uh-huh.
what our titles were in the military. We just
Uh-huh.
it's just a nice thing, and it's a funny thing. The military kind of always have that little always stick together, shall we say?
I
So
even as you were speaking, I literally was getting goosebumps, Gary, because you literally transported me into that little world, which we need to understand. Otherwise, you cannot. You can only be talking about, oh, we need want to have veterans in the workforce, but when you understand it, it becomes a lot more conscious journey towards it, right?
right, yes, it does.
So,
Yeah, it's
uh,
fun, and to me, we help out too. We know what it is, and I think you'll find veterans tend to stick together, help each other, like I said. And again, one thing
mhm,
we do and do very well because we learn is network. I
mhm,
have friends, I would say, all over the United States. I think I could probably go just about any state I want and have a friend to visit with all the friends I
mm,
made in the military. So,
mhm,
and it's one thing you always get that good camaraderie between the people you meet and get to say, hey, friends. And, different social medias now, the LinkedIn, the Twitters, the Facebooks. You get to keep up with people and watch, and it's kind of funny. I've actually, when I turned years old, I had a birthday party, and I invited just people from, well, I won't say just, but a lot of people from the military bases I was stationed at. And when it all came together, my friends and family, and then my military friends slash quote unquote family,
mhm,
it was unique that people are like, wow, you were stationed in Germany with them or California. And I just
uh-huh,
see that's what the kind of network you got, that they all came out for we'll
mhm.
just say a good high number birthday. We'll leave it at that.
I never Thank you for sharing that, Gary.
And,
I want to ask you something that's a little more specific to our industry, right?
yeah,
Indotronix is in the contingent staffing space where we place people on short-term projects. It could be anywhere between, anywhere upwards from 3 months, usually 6 months to a year project, or longer. Now, from your point of view, how do veterans view this kind of contract work, and what? I mean, is there anything that keeps them away from it? What can we do to
I
help
think,
them?
well, again, depends on the person's, where they are in life, the status of life. I think one thing
Hmm.
that most veterans come out, they're probably nervous is, they're looking for the most stability of, you had the military back in your family with your housing, your, food allowance and stuff like that. When you get out into the civilian world, depending on where they stand as their status, contract
Mm-hmm.
work might not be feasible for them because they're looking for that
Mm-hmm.
stability of that long-term job with the benefits. But then
Mm-hmm.
again, some military people are used to, moving around so much and, being unsettled, that could be perfect for them. That, hey, I don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
be stuck in a job where I have to work there 4 or 5 years. I just want the year or two contract or even 6 months and switch to something
Mm-hmm.
else. So it could play either way for you, because I really guess it depends on the person, wants and
Mm-hmm.
needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, true that. I mean, it's just that we have to consciously talk in a way that appeals to their objectives in life.
Right, right. And
Right.
again, know their status, definitely, what are they looking for, and where they currently, stand, especially fresh coming out or been out for a while, or, close to
Mhm.
retirement. What is exactly the need they're looking for?
Neat, yeah. Yeah, I got so busy talking to you. To the audience, at any point, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. I'm asking you very late in the game, but if you do, please do ask, and we'll try to get to it if we have the time. Um, now, there was one other question I definitely wanted to get into. We talked about the strengths that veterans bring to the workplace. There are also a lot of unconscious biases that civilians have about the military, right? About veterans. Have you ever felt that? Is there anything that you feel there are unconscious biases that uh, misconceptions that civilians tend to have?
No, thankfully, I think, and I'm proud to say it too, that I find that everybody's always been very supportive of the military. There was
Mm,
some back in the day, way before our time, where they did
mm-hmm,
not, respect
mm.
the military. I remember coming home from right after Desert Storm just to visit and got a free train. Like I got to the train station and a guy actually wouldn't let me buy my ticket, insisted on buying my ticket to get back up to
Ah,
Jersey. It's just like, wow, and it's just like, so I think thankfully there's more respect for the military these days, and as it should
mm-hmm,
always be.
mm-hmm.
I've even noticed, like, I thought it was pretty neat that Home Depot started putting up a veterans parking spot as well.
Oh, is it? Okay. I
Yeah,
did not know that. I
yeah.
did not.
So yeah, so it's just like, to me, and I think in the workforce too, you find it, that I think they know when they're getting a military person. I know personally, just because I'm ex-military, if I see a vet, I try to always hire somebody who's ex-military, because I know that I feel that I'm got somebody who I know is going to know expectations are meant to be met.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and when you're given a task, you should finish it off. And I find that, I haven't found a military person yet that didn't do it.
Mm. And it's, thank you for sharing that, because I do think that that when wanting diversity in the workforce, including veterans in the workforce, it has to be a concerted effort. You have to think about it, think about the advantages they bring to the workforce. It has to be about talent and diversity coming together, right?
Correct.
And
Exactly.
not that they are not qualified for the job, but yeah, you
Correct.
have to give. Yeah, that's.
And the one thing is, when you bring up diversity, one thing is, think about the military is extremely diversified. Have everybody coming from all walks of life in the military,
Mm,
and
mm-hmm,
it's funny when you just realize how different we are from different parts of the north, the south, the east, and the west.
mm-hmm.
How it's different things we call a sub, or somebody calls a hoagie, or
Uh,
a hero. You start comparing
uh-huh.
little funny things like that. So, and that's one thing that I really enjoyed about going into military, was getting all the diversity that you did from your fellow Americans. It was kind of great. So
That is a fantastic point, and what a great note to almost come to the end of the conversation. Because I never, yes, you're right. Uh, People from all walks of life, from all parts of the country, become a part of the
correct.
military. So it becomes a diversity in terms of race, gender, everything
Everything.
is the
Yes,
fabric of, yeah.
yes.
Uh,
If you're military,
Thanks
yeah,
for bringing that up.
no doubt.
So, Gary, I know we are almost. I know you have to run. Any last minute words for transitioning veterans?
Again, here, just so you know too, if need be, and there's some questions that we don't get to discuss here, feel free to send to Anu. I will get back to you, or Anu, somehow
Thank you.
would want to help out, however I can, because always, want to help. Again, one thing I found, which was one of the biggest helps, was the VA.gov site. Go to your local,
Mhm.
Veterans Affairs offices. They will help you. At least they'll get you pointed in the right direction. And there's lots of help out there for military people. And I one thing is kind of funny, is either you'll find veterans who use it, or they just don't use it and don't understand it. So
Mhm.
VA.gov covers a lot of information for you these days, and if you need the help, trust me, there's plenty of avenues out there and things to help them. So
Yeah.
go
And
that route.
I do want to remind. There was one more thing you mentioned when we were doing the prep chat. Um, a lot of the local chapters, all the VFWs, and a lot of networking opportunities throughout the state, throughout the place, through all those
Right.
organizations, right?
Yes. 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 That's why, I said there's different local, lodges you can go join up at. Your VFWs, again, go sign up your local
Hmm.
VFW. You are a vet. They'd love to have you there. And of course, the funny thing I always hear is they need the younger people coming in. So go
Hmm.
there, support them, because they know the stuff you are going to ask, the questions you want to know.
Yeah.
So get to your local VFW as well. Thank you for bringing that point up.
Thank you, Gary. The half hour went by so fast. Thank you
You know how
so
you and
much.
I am. No, thank
I
you for
know it's
inviting me.
always easy talking to you, and thank you for
You as
talking
well.
so candidly.
Yep.
And for the audience, you can follow us on social media on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. We are there everywhere under Indotronix Avani Group. Would love to hear from you. And any questions for Gary, you can. I'll put it in the chat. The my email address, so you can send it to me, and or you can even do it through the GoToWebinar website and ask any questions you have. Thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you so much, Gary.
Thank you.
I
Thank you for
appreciate your
having me.
time.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.